Hey, back with another video that today we're gonna be reacting to. Larry Elder explains why people hate Republicans. Subscribe, turn on post notifications. I'm going at it again. Larry Elder, let's get it. Let's go. Hop right into it. No, oh shit, hold on. Why do my videos always do that? No time to waste. Let's go.
A lot of people in very liberal or progressive areas, they get their idea of conservatism from their progressive friends and progressive media rather than from actual conservatives. So I think that's part of several reasons why it's even been shown in numerous polls that, generally speaking, conservatives understand liberals better than liberals understand conservatives, and you'll be hard.
Ooh, I disagree with that. Ooh, I disagree with that. I don't think conservatives understand hardly anything about liberals at all. See, the thing is, Zuby, the thing about you, man, and I don't know if I'm talking to you or you ever watch these videos, and you probably do, but you probably have. You probably will, eventually. But, you're an intellectual. You are an intellectual. You would listen to a conservative argument as well as you listen to a progressive argument. You would listen to a conservative argument as well as you listen to a progressive argument. You would listen to both sides. Not everybody does that. I come across plenty of people who know nothing about the liberal arguments. And the funny thing is, they're conservatives that make liberal arguments most of the time. Disagree with that, man. But let's keep going. I didn't even stop you 21 minutes in. I like when you talk. You smart.
Impressed to find a conservative person who's like, oh, I've never had a conversation with a liberal before, because it's just like, how is that even possible? Like, did you go to school? Did you go to university? Do you just exist in the world and the world?
Most conservatives don't. A lot of people don't go to college, man. A lot of people don't go to college. And there ain't many intellectuals in high school. Let's just be honest. Not many. At least not many that stand out, because most of the time being in high school is all about being cool. Intellectuals you hear about at the end of the year. The valedictorian, no one knew who that was until the last day of school. Till we graduated. No one knew who the valedictorian was until we graduated.
Place, how can you not have ever met someone with those viewpoints? So I think it's more the fact that people are not even aware, and maybe because conservatives maybe in the state are more quiet about their views. They don't wear it on their sleeve for obvious reasons as pertains to tolerance or lack thereof. And so I think you have all these people interacting and integrating, but oftentimes that's not put front and center, and when it is, that's when they think, oh, the boogeyman is coming out.
But also, think it's the dominance of the left in media, in academia, in big tech, in Hollywood. I just saw a poll that said only 3% of journalists describe themselves as Republicans. 3%. And at Harvard, all the controversy with Claudine Gay, it turns out only about 3% of Harvard professors call themselves somewhat conservative or conservative.
Yes.
So the ones who call themselves conservative is probably 2% or maybe even 1%. So they're just not...
Because it's a university, it's a university, dude. What do you expect? Like, it's a university. Like, there's going to be more progressive people at universities because these people are there to learn. They're there to go learn and build. That's why you get progressive people. Conservatives don't necessarily... I'm not saying they don't want to learn, but a lot of conservatives aren't really predicated upon learning. They're mostly predicated upon keeping things the same. You have to find a conservative intellectual. Like, I would say Larry Elder. Like, I would say Thomas Sowell. Like, I would say Jordan Peterson. Like, I would say, maybe Sam Harris. Nah, maybe Sam Harris is more left. But, like, I would say these people who are intellectuals who want to dive deeper into the conversation. But that's not what you see mostly on the conservative side. Most conservatives believe in, don't tread on me. Leave me alone. Don't bring this to me. Liberals want to figure out information about the world. That's why you see that.
Not hearing the ideas. You look at Hollywood, dominated of the contributions given to parties by the top executive in Hollywood. 90% of them go to Democrats or Democrat causes. Same thing with the Ivy League. I went to an Ivy League school. 90% of the contributions by professors go to the Democrats or Democrat causes. So these kids are having a one-sided view of almost anything, and as a result, when you sit there and talk to somebody who has some different points of view, no matter how well thought out and commonsensical they are, often they're surprised. They just haven't heard them.
Who's at fault there? Now more than ever, the ability to see through the chaos of traditional news media is an absolute necessity. Biased narratives and selective reporting obstruct...
Hate to do that, man.
I think that a lot of people don't go into those... conservatives don't go into these areas because they feel they're going to be screwed. I mean, in order to get tenure, if you're in a university, you have to be voted on by the other professors. And I know a lot of instances of professors who've gotten blackballed or refused tenure because of their views. There's a guy named John Lott. John Lott is a economist. Does a lot of work on guns, and he wrote a book called More Guns, Less Crime. At the time, he didn't even own a gun, and he wasn't even that conservative. He just found out nobody ever done a study on the relationship or lack of relationship between gun ownership and crime. And it turned out, according to John, and I'm kind of summarizing complex
I know what he's talking about.
It turns out, according to John, counties with the greatest per capita gun ownership had less crime. And so he wrote a book called More Guns, Less Crime. One of the big donors at the time, he was teaching at University of Chicago, major university. One of the big donors approached the dean and said, I'm not going to give you any more money unless you get rid of this guy. And they did. And so John goes somewhere else to another university that didn't know that.
I actually know why, though. And I'm a gun supporter. But if you look at countries like Australia, where they did a blanket gun ban, Canada, where they did a blanket gun ban, France, all these places like that, I'm talking about first world countries. We're the only first world not only one, but we're one of the only first world countries that don't have a blanket gun ban, right? All the countries that have blanket gun bans have less gun violence. Point blank, period. So John Locke, I know what he was doing. He was going in trying to figure out how, I understand what he was doing. And what he was doing was perfect too. He figured out that in certain places, per capita, where guns are, less crime happens. That's a good statistic to find too. But that's why universities don't like it, because a lot of universities believe the other side of the argument, where no guns, no gun crime. Sucks, but that's just what they believe.
This controversy, and then he's there for a little while, and then it found out who he is. And another prominent donor approached the dean and basically put pressure on him to get rid of John. So John never became a tenured professor, even though he's got great credentials. And his scholarship, in my opinion, has withstood the test of time. I mean, you write something that controversial, you're going to have a whole bunch of people picking at it and picking over it. There were some minor errors in his research. He corrected them. But for the most part, I think his research is held up. Fox News often uses him to quote stuff on guns. So he ended up starting a nonprofit called the Crime Prevention Research Group because he couldn't get a job as a tenured professor. Yeah. And he's not the only one to whom I've heard stories like that. So I think if I'm somebody who's got some ambition and I have a bunch of alternatives to do this, that, and the other, why would I go into academia? Why would I go into journalism? Why would I go into any of these fields where the powers that be are going to decide my fate? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go into some other place where I can have better control over my life.
Yeah. How and why do you think that has changed over time, over the decades? Because I'm not American, let alone Californian. First time I ever even came to the States.
You say that with pride. Let alone in California. He says, Zuby sniffs. Let alone in California.
Yeah, I love the USA. California is not one of my top states, but I do come here a lot. I know a lot of good people here, and I have friends here, and it is one of the most beautiful parts of the world.
I think it's the most beautiful state in America. Mm-hmm. I was born and raised here. The politics are awful. I mean,
how has it changed since you were in your youth? In terms of the politics, well, because I know that this used to be a Republican state, no?
It sure did. Okay. I mean, Orange County used to be the most reliably Republican county in the country. Richard Nixon was a senator here. Ronald Reagan was a two-term...
Before he lies, I want you guys to research it. Don't take my word on it. They believe that the reason why the Republicans, Democrats get elected right after Republicans is because Republicans done screwed something up. And people want change. Because that's all liberals stand on is change. That's all Democrats stand on is change. Literally. When the economy crashes, we got Obama. Think about it. Like when the economy crashes, we got Obama. During the Great Depression, we got FDR. You can think multiple examples of times when it's been bad where the Democrats have came to power, right? There is a theory. I'm just saying, I wouldn't even say it's a theory. It's a hypothesis. That the Republicans prior to that is what messed up California for the years on. It's just California drove so much money to the state prior to that before the Republicans came in. You couldn't completely destroy it completely. But a lot of their policies, people believe messed up California is what caused a lot of Democrats to come in. Don't quote me on that. Research that. That's something I've heard. But both sides always try to blame the other one. So I guess you can find facts on either side of that, or opinions on either side of that, either way.
governor here. We had a governor named Pete Wilson, who also served 2 terms.
And
Arnold, but and that's interesting. You mentioned that Arnold became governor in a recall election, and that's what I ran in a recall election in 2021. Arnold's was 2003, and since then there are now 5% more registered Democrats. There are 33% fewer registered Republicans, and there are 50% more registered independents. And even the New York Times said independents in California vote Republican. So the state has just gotten more and more left wing since I've been a kid.
why?
Yeah, why? That's the question, really. Why? Why, Larry?
A lot of
Why, Larry?
Republicans have left. I think kids are
That might be the reason. He's not going to be honest about it. He's not going to be honest about it. Hell no, let's keep going.
being taught that Republicans are bad. I think kids are being taught that capitalism is bad. Kids are being taught that if you're wealthy, you did something to screw people. It wasn't that you worked hard. I think little by little we've indoctrinated young people into having negative attitudes towards capitalism, towards God, towards religion. And as a result, we are now manufacturing kids that are more and more left-wing.
Is that unique to California, though?
I think it's worse in California. California is one of the most left-wing states. Massachusetts is up there too. But I think it's happening all over the country.
Yeah.
We are just, look at the universities. I saw a study about the professors at universities, big, small, east, west, north, south, public, private. Overwhelmingly, the professors are left-wing.
Yeah.
And if you assume that teachers have some sort of influence on how you think and see the world, then we are creating more and more left-wing people.
I want to tell you.
That was interesting, yeah. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. Subscribe, turn on post notifications. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I know some of y'all be riding Larry's meat wagger. I'm just playing. Let's have a decent conversation in the comments. We don't got to get mad or mad with each other. But I'm out. Oh, shit.